Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel Bookswithnatasa, and welcome to BookMas 2022. I have done BookMas for ever since I started my channel, and usually it entails some extra content for you guys. Usually some new videos, usually at the one week leading up to Christmas. But at this time, I'm gonna try and film more videos for you guys, and wish me luck. So today we're going to talk about my top 10 books of 2022. These aren't exactly in order. For example, the first book that I'm going to talk about is not my top favorite of the year. I will talk about that one at the end of this video, my choice. So yeah. Firstly, I want to talk about The Clover Chapel. This is book number 2 of the Jameson Valley series by David Perry, and I have talked about this book on this channel so much and on all my socials because I just loved it so much. This series was a surprise for me, and it's going to be a favorite of mine for a long time. So this book follows Nick and Emmy, and they went on this trip on Vegas and met there basically, and it was insta love basically. So they decided to get married in Vegas and try to build a life together. But the night of their wedding basically, and Nick leaves Emmy alone and basically disappears. And she can now moving forward 9 years later, Emmy has been fired from her father's work because her father is the worst, and decides that she wants to move into a small town and be a teacher. So she decides to move into Prescott, and that's where she again meets Nick, and he feels like this is fate, this is destiny, and he never stop loving her or thinking about her, and now that she's here in front of him, he will do anything to get her back. And Emmanuel was so heartbroken that from all that has happened between them, and super upset, and she has every right to be. And yeah, so we see them navigate all that history, and but the attraction is still there, the feelings are still there, and I just love watching them navigate all that. Next we have another book in the Jameson Valley series, and that is The Lucky Heart. This is book number 3, and I love this one again. And this book follows Silas and Felicity. Felicity is Griffins. No, I'm sorry, this is the Eden series. This Gigi's partner, basically. I can't remember his name right now, I'm blanking out. I'm so sorry. But yeah, Silas and Felicity have a lot of history together. They basically grew up together, and Felicity used to date Wes, who we know from previous books. And we see Felicity, West, and Silas being like this group of friends together, but then West and Felicity start to date, but West is the worst because of his drug use. So, but Felicity and Silas had always had feelings for one another, and one night after Felicity dumps West, they get together, and it's amazing. And then we see Wes the next morning, and he's like, how could you do this to me, this betrayal, I will never forgive you, and all that. But and Felicity, even though she has deep feelings for Silas and Silas for her, she got scared and ran basically, because she wasn't ready for another meaningful relationship, because she was just like a little girl, and I get it. But she couldn't go about it in another way, not to break Silas' heart. But yeah, so now we jump forward to the future, and we see Felicity being back at Prescott so she can be closer to her family, and see Silas have been hooking up over the years, but now they want to give the relationship a shot, mostly Silas. But yeah, he doesn't. He knows that this is his last chance to win over her heart completely, and basically be sure that she will choose him every time. And I love that. Also, we see them struggle with the past, mostly Silas again, because he just doesn't know her Felicity's true feelings, and when she actually tells him, it's the most hilarious, heartfelt scene ever. Also, I love how they both have short fuse on their temper, and it's amazing when they fight, but also not fight. It's like the cutest thing ever. Next we have Wait For It by Mariana Zapata, and again I have talked about this book all over this channel, but I will give like a short synopsis. And yeah, Diana is moving into this into this house in with her two nephews, and next door there's this neighbor Dallas, and they don't get off on the right foot, but then they become close friends, and he helps her with the boys, and she helps him, and they become very very close friends basically. And he's married, so they're just friends, nothing like that, no cheating in this book. But yeah, his wife is the worst. He left him with a lot of scars and stuff emotionally, and now he's in the middle of trying to get a divorce. He's been trying for a while, but his wife isn't being the best in this process, so it's a lot of to handle. And basically, yeah, I love this book so much. I love the little boys and Diana's relationship. I love Diana and Dallas together. They were perfect for one another. Also, I love that we got a small appearance from Colty and Sal from other books, and it was just something that I didn't know I needed, and I just loved it. Next we have another Mariana Zapata book, and that is All Roads Lead Here. And again, I have talked about this book all over this channel, but I'll give you a small synopsis. And basically, Aurora, after basically had her divorce finalized, she decides a fresh start is in order, so she goes back home where she used to live with her mother. Her mother is dead, and after an accident, and she goes to live in this upper level apartment that is that, that this rent has pulled out an ad for. So when she goes there to basically move in, there's this super aggressive man, and he's like, "What are you doing on my property? Get out!" And she's like super mad, and she's like super scared. But then we found out that his name is Rhodes, and his teenage son Amos put out the ad for their upper level garage apartment. So yeah, after a while he decides to let her stay for a while, but and that's it. So they start to navigate the relationship with neighbor and stuff, but and he doesn't exactly trust anyone with his son. So yeah, it's a process, but after a while they become to get super close, and Rhodes basically has deep feelings for her as she does for him, but he takes his time to be sure that she's ready, and I just love that. He's so thoughtful, and I love how he isn't the type of man that says I love you all the time, but he shows it with his actions. For example, he gives her presents for that are stuff that she actually needs. That means that he takes the time to notice what she actually needs, and I just love that. One of my favorite scenes is one when they are going snowboarding as a family, and then Rhodes shows up, and it's the most incredible, funny, hilarious, sweet scene ever. Also, I loved how in the end, Diana's, not Diana's, I'm sorry, Aurora's ex shows up, and says exactly the words that Rhodes said that he was gonna use, and it was like hilarious, and I loved it. And again, love this book. Next one, it wouldn't be a video for me if at least one daily book didn't be here, and this is Follow With Me, book number 4 in the Wait For You series by Jennifer Armentrout. And this series has totally taken me by surprise. For the longest time I have been saying that I won't be reading this series because I'm not into contemporary romance as much, so I wasn't sure. But I picked up book 1 on a whim, and then I continued with the series because each book just got better and better. But this book has to be my favorite. This book follows Roxy and Reese. Reese is a police officer, and Roxy works at Jax's bar, Jax who we meet in previous books. Basically, they have a lot of history together. They grew up together, used to be close friends, but basically one night when Reese got drunk and was in a dark place, they started making out, and he passed out and then woke up thinking that they had sex. And because he was so regretful and all that, Roxy was hurt and didn't actually correct him that they didn't have sex. So now, jumping forward a few months later, Roxy has been avoiding him, and now he basically has been trying to give her space. But now he's like, I had enough of this shit. Let's talk this out because I really miss you. And they want to start spending time with one another. And as soon as they basically reconcile, they start to flirt all over again. The chemistry is explosive. I love it. And also there is a mystery plot going on because this is an police officer, so there had to be something for him to arrest. So yeah, there is a stalker in this book, and keep in mind that it's actually quite creepy when they find out. And I mean, and this book is just amazing. These next two books I will put together, and that is Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline. I think these two will be my top favorite books of the year, and just I'm thinking about them, I'm getting more sure. I can't choose between the two because both of these books have important scenes between them, and many of the scenes in each book are favorites of mine, so I can't really pick and choose. But yeah, basically this is a stalker dark romance. And when I say dark, I don't mean dark like there is a bit of a weird stuff. There are a lot of weird stuff. It's super dark. Keep in mind that. Definitely read the trigger warning because this book is dark. It's supposed to be the darkest romance in 2022, and I have to say I agree. So basically, this book holds Adeline Riley, who moves back into her grandmother's house after she died and left with her, and that's it where she discovers her grandma's old journal with when she fell in love with a stalker and all that. And after a while, she begins to have her own stalker, which is she leaves roses, several hands in her purse, killing men that have touched her, and it's like insane. And I love the writing in this book, I love the romance in this book. There is a gray area of consent in this book, so keep in mind that there are a lot of weird kinks in this one that I didn't know I love, but I think it's just this book that it did it very well. But yeah, Zayd is just not just a more gay character, but I mean a super dark one. He's a kind of a mystery to us in this first book, but he does open up to Adi a lot about who he is and his actual self. And he says in this book this one line that I really love, that he tries to show her his worst parts so she can fall in love with those, because he doesn't want her to fall in love with the delusion basically, and wants to fall in love with his actual self. Because if she can force the worst parts, she can love the worst parts of him, she can love the good parts as well. And yeah, the second book is so much darker than the first one. Keep in mind that the first part of the second book is like super heartbreaking, emotionally draining. It's basically the worst experience ever I've had reading a book, and that's because there is a lot of on-page rape in this book. and it's super graphic. There are a lot of torture, a lot of killing. The killing didn't exactly bother me, but the way that it was done, how they were forced the people there that were held captive to kill one another, it was like super heartbreaking. So yeah, we see and stuff that happened in the previous books. I'm trying not to spoil, but basically Adelaide is in a situation and Zaid is trying to rescue her, but it's not a quick rescue. Keep in mind that I had no idea about this until I saw like a tweet about it, I think. And it was like, if you think this is gonna be a quick rescue, you're in for a treat, something like that. So yeah, and it takes about 2 or 3 months for him to rescue her, so there are a lot of time jumps. And when he does rescue her, there is this whole part with healing in this book. PTSD, she has PTSD, she has psychological trauma, she has scars, she has so much stuff to deal with, and she also tries to come to terms with the fact that she killed a lot of people in order to survive in that place. So she tries to help her come to terms with that, and she is gonna come into a new version of herself in order to survive all the stuff that happened to her, and I just love that. Also, CB is another character that gives a lot of comedy in this series, and I love. She's also gonna get her new book, and I will definitely try that. And yeah, I needed to talk about this my favorite manga series ever, and that is Sasaki Miyano by Suharu Sono. This is currently volume 9 is a manga series. There is a chapter by chapter update every few months, and it's torture. But yeah, Sasaki Miyano is also an anime. If you guys want to check it out, it's still amazing. But yeah, I had first watched the anime as soon as it came out. I was like 3 episodes before it was finished when I started watching it, and I loved it so much. As soon as the anime was done, I was like, I need to read the manga, and I knew I had read a few mangas before, but I hadn't been so hooked on them. Like Tokyo Ghoul, I put it down after volume 2, I believe it was, and then I had I think I had read Spy Family, or it was after Sasaki Miyan, I'm not sure. But yeah, I picked up the volume 1 immediately, and volumes 1 through 6 is what happened in the anime, but there were so many scenes that didn't make it, and small expressions and stuff, and gestures that Sasaki Miyano used, and it was the sweetest thing ever. Next we got season manga 7, 8 and 9. My favorite volume has to be 7, I believe. That in my chapter is like 35, 37. That is my favorite chapter ever, and it's going to be in the movie, it's going to get animated, and I can't wait. But yeah, I have talked about this manga series for a while now, all over my social media, Goodreads here. But it's like a cute, fluffy BL romance. Sasaki and Miyano are the cutest thing ever, and I can't wait. Also, the author has said that moving forward in this series is gonna get spicier, and I'm so here for it. Next, we have another JLA book series, and that is from Blood and Nash series. And this series has been a total surprise for me. I didn't see it coming like at all. I knew that JLA was going to surprise me for the best, but I wasn't sure about her fantasy debut because um, I had struggled a lot to get into the first book, but after Poppy and Hawk had the first scene, I was like super hooked. I love Poppy's character and how badass she was. I love watching her and Hawk interact with one another. Also, I hated those people descending basically and all of them. But yeah, I don't reread the first book often, but I reread the rest of the books super often because I love Poppy and Castile's relationship. They are the best. My favorite book in the series has to be book number 3 because they are in sort of a stable place in their relationship. They have moved past all the secrets and betrayal that happened in book 2, and yeah, we see them moving forward, trying to move forward with their relationship in the middle of a war, and it's insane. It's the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asser. Many of you know that I finished reading the series later this year, and I just loved it so much. My favorite book has to be Redeemed, Santiago and Chloe's book. It just, and the entirety of the series is just a healing series, which I love. We have Formula race car drivers, we have all the tropes, basically enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, fake dating. We have so many different tropes in each and every one of these books. The guys are hotness and the female characters are just incredible, and you guys should definitely read this series. It's totally worth it. I mean, when you're reading the first book, you have no idea what to expect from the later ones, but I was so shocked from, because book number 2, Liam and Sophie's book, was so much emotionally draining. I mean, it was, I cried so much during the prologue, and that has never happened to me. Next, we have Jack's and Elena's book, which we have a happy ending, but it's sort of bittersweet because there is this illness going on in this book, and it was like amazing. And then my favorite book, we have Fake Dating, we have basically a love that can bring you back from death, because Santiago has had an accident in the beginning of the book, and he is and was hurt really badly and trying to basically recover, and he's deep into depression, and basically he doesn't live until he meets Chloe, and she basically brings him back to life, and I just love that so much. Next we have Demon Slayer manga, and many of you know that I read the entirety of Demon Slayer manga series this year, and it was such a wild journey. I loved every second of it. Demon Slayer will always be a big part of my life. I love it so much. I started watching the anime earlier this year, and it has changed my life. And I wasn't sure if I was going to read all the manga series, because it is quite a lot of volumes. But then I was like, I'm going to read as far as the anime, which was like volume 8, and then I wasn't sure if I wanted to read the manga first or watch the anime first, but it sort of ended in the weird note, I guess, so really wanted to read, so I ended up reading Schwartz Smith Village, which is going to be animated earlier next year, and loved it. Again, there is a huge cliffhanger in Swordsmith's Village, so I moved that to Infinity Castle, which is the final arc. Immediately, I was like crying, laughing, again crying, and it was such an experience because so many different people died, so many Hashira, so many demons, and even though I hated Kata, Akara, I'm not sure, the blue demon that killed, oh my god, Tanjiro, I was gonna say, Rengoku, but his story was just so heartbreaking that it made me almost forgive him. He was like, all the demons had such heartbreaking stories, and so many Hashira that had died or got hurt in the process of this war, and finally that scene with Tanjiro and the Michael Jackson character basically was insane, and I was so happy when we got this happy ending for Rio and Nezuko. Also, we got to see Tengen paying them a visit where they lived, and I just loved it. And yeah, it was such a wild journey. I'm so happy that I decided to read it, and now just be able to watch the anime, because I'm sure they will animate the Infinity Castle as well, so I can't wait for that. So yeah. Finally, I have started recently reading Throne of Glass series. I'm currently on Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. But yeah, so far I really want to talk about my favorite book in the series so far, and that is Queen of Sorrows. It was a difficult thing to choose between Queen of Sorrows and Heir of Fire, but I decided with Queen of Sorrows because there is a lot of Sam in this book. There is a lot of romance between Rowan and Eileen. There are so many new developments. we see so many different things that happened, and oh my god, Eileen finally getting revenge for what happened to her, that she got sent to Eldovia and Sam's death and all of that, and I was so happy that it finally happened. But yeah, this series is just such a well journey for me. I really do love it, but I don't love the third person narrative. I would prefer it if it was the first person, because I can really follow it so easily if it's the third person, but I'm getting there. So many new stuff has happened in this book, and it's full of action, full of heartbreak, full of tears. So there are so many different emotions that I felt reading this book, and I can't wait to finish the series. Will try to read Kingdom of Hearts by the end of the year, but don't hold me to that because I think it's like a 1,000-page book. So we'll see about that. So that's it for my video. Thank you so much for watching. Wow, I have been taking for a while now. I'm so tired. But yeah, like, subscribe, and stick around. Also, and I will see you for my next video tomorrow. Bye.